as the Headhunter show, of course, what we hope to achieve is really talk to, of course, the business leaders, really get their insights into how the trends are looking, especially in the organizations. And did you know that people never apply for jobs, actually? They are hunted. So how do you become part of that hunted list? And I'll reach out to Michael as well, and just to get his beat about his management bit, because of course with our target audience as well, and the people who are watching us, they're really keen to see how do they improve themselves and how do they improve their business. Let's look at the international investor. And right now, of course, there was a wait and see, especially with COVID and stuff. There wasn't any movement around, but Kenya is really big on attracting international investors. So here's for investors sitting in London, for instance, maybe the US, and they now would like now to come into Africa through Nairobi, for instance. How would you take them through that journey to, choosing whether or not to go the flexi way or an opportunity to invest? What would you advise them?
In terms of their investment in their space?
Space, yeah.
So, that's an interesting point as well, because most of what we do is we are ensuring that there's a global standard to the way that we operate. We're trying to make what we do very recognizable and available to African either companies, deployed teams, or multinationals. Okay, we very much focus at that company end. If you are an international business and you are based in New York, or you're based in London, or you're based in Berlin, you are very aware of the concept of flexible workspace. And nearly 10 to 11% of commercial space in these developed cities are moving towards flexible workspace, which means like 1 in every 10 floors in a building, right, is actually flexible space, which is incredibly compelling data, especially when you actually look here at it. If they took that 10%, here we're under 0.5%. So there's a 20 times growth market in flexible working just to catch up. And we know that in the African environment, it's brilliant how all of the countries and cities leapfrog to the correct answer. So we expect to see tremendous growth in flexible workspace across the whole sector. And so most of those businesses recognize that product, they understand the benefits of it, and they like the flexibility. So they will naturally, if you're engaging or entering into a market, those kind of companies are coming straight to us because we give them the platform to start.
Another question just comes to mind, thanks to Michael for these insights, is so what happens to this, realtors, investors into, the skyscrapers who are quite keen, or they've seen that appetite on office spaces, and now they're seeing the flexi spaces.
Yes.
From a construction contractor's perspective.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to the business?
It's good, but there's a little bit of a tension relationship that's brewed globally between the real estate owners, the real estate brokers, and the flexible service providers. It shouldn't be that way though, because at the end of the day, two things. One is we're a very good tenant for a building, because the thing I trade is the space. The thing they want to sell is the space. If I was a startup company selling buckets and I lose my big contract, I could go out of business, and then the landlord is got a defaulting tenant. Whereas if I lose a client in my main trade, which is space, I find another client to come in. Okay, so we're holding hands a lot more. Okay, and that's a very important thing. The second thing is there's a well-documented principle of tenant toe, which is where by having a flexible provider inside your building with a brand, it can cement the look and feel of your building, how you want your buildings to be perceived. So any of the new buildings, the category A buildings that are coming up out of the ground in any of the cities like Nairobi we're in, by having Kafisi inside that, it makes a statement to the market that this is the premium provider. Look at the kind of clients that these guys have. More people are coming through the building, and that then leads to larger companies wanting to take the balance of that space. So there's an ecosystem. But what the building landlords need to understand, and I think they're getting there, is the world of I put a building up and I just take the rent and I take some service charge, that is changing because every customer is needing more. And so the winners will be those that understand that ecosystem, and we're seeing a lot more of that happening now.